I'm Jolene Wynn, and this is the Porn Addict's Wife podcast, episode number 235, Gratitude and Disappointment. If your husband is struggling with a pornography problem and you want some help with it and you are not finding the resources that you like, you are in the right place. My name is Jolene Wynn. I am a certified life coach. I am an active member of the LDS faith, and I am the wife of a former porn addict. And on this podcast, I am going to share with you the tools that you need in order to start your healing journey. This is where I'm going to show you how to dive deep into intentional living, how to rekindle connection with your spouse, how to manage all that emotional turmoil that you're feeling, how to break the addiction cycle that you have to your husband's addiction, and tell you all of the ways to do that and start healing. I am so glad that you're here, and I can't wait to get started. Let's go. Hello, my ladies. How are you? Happy Thanksgiving. As this is coming out, it will be the week of Thanksgiving here in the United States. I know that I have so many listeners who are not in the United States, and that's okay. You can celebrate Thanksgiving with us too. And this is a beautiful week. I'm recording this a little bit early. I am headed out of town. I know, I've been traveling so much lately. Everyone keeps commenting on it. And I have loved all the trips and all the family time. This year we are going to Florida for fun. Nobody lives there, but we're all just meeting there as like a little family reunion. And my parents are coming, and 6 out of the 7 kids will be there, my siblings, and tons of the cousins, all my nieces and nephews, except for a few of them, and it's going to be great. So we're going to have a whole week at a beach house, which it's going to be cold. We're going to I don't know what it is, the Gulf of Mexico side of Florida, so it's not going to be very warm, but the kids are going to have fun with their cousins, and I'm excited to spend Thanksgiving. And one of the things my mom does, tell me do you guys do this? My mom on Thanksgiving, we all sit around the table, and then we go around and we say something that we're grateful for, but you can't repeat something someone has already said. Do you guys do this? Is my mom the only one that does this? Anyway, I love it, and that's what we're going to do. So I'm recording this a little bit early before we head out of town, and this was inspired by a recent onslaught of disappointment. I am fairly open with y'all about my business, and you guys know that over the last 6 months, my husband has not been working, and I have been the sole breadwinner for our family. And what I don't know if all of you guys know is that it has not been a very lucrative time in my business. We have mostly been living off savings and his bonus that he got before he stopped working. And it has been a magical time that I have loved immensely. And I hate math, so I don't look at numbers frequently. But the other day I went onto my, all my accounts, and I was looking at all my numbers, and I was actually pretty surprised and satisfied with how much income has been generated so far this year. And I was really feeling excited about it. And it was better than I thought it was going to be. Okay. And then I looked at how much money was going out, how much money we've invested in ads, in trying to grow the podcast, in trying to reach more people, in trying to bring more people into my world so that I can find more of you who are struggling. And the numbers were atrocious and extremely disappointing. And all I could see was that it's not possible to continue this way. The numbers are just not matching. If you guys want to be real here and real vulnerable, I'm going to be, because I always am with you guys, is that it showed that the margin of profit for me so far this year is $2,000. Meaning that as much money as I've brought in, almost that exact same amount has gone out. I am net positive $2,000, which is great. I'm very happy that I'm net positive $2,000. However, one cannot live with a family of 7 off of $2,000. Maybe somebody can. I cannot. And I can especially not see how to do that with my husband not working. So immediately I just start bawling, and I was just in complete shock. And I had no idea what to do next. I was like, what does this mean? Is God telling me to stop? Is this like, hey, this is your clear sign that your business is not working? Maybe you should quit. Maybe you shouldn't be a life coach. Maybe you're not cut out to run your own business. Maybe this isn't the year to be investing. You need to stop ads immediately. Like, you need to immediately cut back. You need to do all of these things. And my brain went to supreme disappointment because my next thought was, this is so sad. And I'm so grateful that my husband has a job that he can go back to, a skill. He's a dentist. He has a skill that he can go back to. And that is a beautiful thing that I'm very grateful for. And I also don't want him to go back to work. And I know that this is like, everyone's going to say, oh my gosh, Jolene, everybody's husband has to work. But it just isn't the dream that we had, right? We had this vision. We actually felt like God was leading us this way. We felt like he was saying, all right, it's time for Rob to stop working. And we took that step of faith and kind of expected or thought that with that step of faith, that maybe there would be some benefit along the way. And we have had so many benefits. And yet we realized in this moment that we were expecting them to come a certain way, aka financially, right? To be financially okay. If God said step out of the boat on the water, then we expected to not sink, okay? And that's kind of what was going through my head. And so for 2 days, I just kind of sat in all of this overwhelm, disappointment, self-doubt. And I really have been taking a look at, this was just yesterday and the day before, by the way, okay? And really taking a look at, okay, what does this mean? And is this just one of those things that happens in life? We have had a business fail before. We opened up a brick and mortar location in 2020. It was actually in December of 2019, and it was a children's museum where you come in. It's a very hands-on learning children's museum where you pay to play, and there's a fire truck and a farm and a grocery store, and the little kids go shopping, and it's so fun. And we opened that December of 2019, and it was profitable for 3 months until March of 2020 when COVID hit, and then it tanked. And we lost tens of thousands of dollars, over so much money on this establishment. So we've already lost a business. We eventually sold it for like $1 and years later, and it did not feel as much like a failure as this moment looking at these numbers. And as I was sitting there and I was processing all this disappointment, in order to help me feel better, my husband was like, what's your version of ice cream? Because I'm lactose intolerant, so I can't eat ice cream. And usually when my sister in college, when she would break up with her boyfriend over and over and over, they kind of had an on again, off again, then we would take her for ice cream to make her feel better, right? We like to buffer our feelings, okay? And he said, what's your version of that? And so we decided to go to Texas Roadhouse and buy some rolls because those are delicious, and buy me a Dr. Pepper. So we get in the car and we turn on the radio, and we're trying to connect my phone so I can listen to Christmas music so I can feel better. And K-Love is on. Okay, that's the version of like Christian radio out here. I don't know what your station is. So my Christian radio station is K-Love. And whoever the radio host was at the time starts talking. And she says, have you ever felt disappointment and gratitude at the same time? And I immediately thought to myself, yes, I am right now. And she said, you can't, it's impossible. And I said, well, I beg to differ. And that's what's inspired this podcast. I have felt so much gratitude for my life, for the last 6 months, for the opportunity to be able to coach and have this job, for my husband to be able to go back to work if that's required, to have the opportunity to have my husband home and homeschool my children. All of these things I feel gratitude for all the women that I have found, that I have reached, for all of the podcast downloads, for every woman who listens every single week. I feel so much immense gratitude, and also extreme disappointment in that moment. And as I was thinking about this profound experience and how intensely I felt it, I was thinking of all of you. Because at this time of year, everyone is so focused on gratitude, and it's a beautiful thing. But it can be very difficult to sit and feel grateful when you have a dream that seems like is shattering right in front of your eyes. When maybe your husband isn't interested in not watching porn, or he's trying and it's not working. And we can be grateful that he's trying, or we can be grateful that we're all healthy, and we can list all the things we're grateful for and still hold space for the disappointment. For the disappointment that maybe your marriage doesn't look like what you wanted it to look like. For the disappointment that maybe your body doesn't look like what you want it to look like. That maybe your health isn't what you want it to look like right now. And I want to offer that we can hold space for both. We can hold space for the disappointment. We don't have to pretend it's not there. It's allowed to be there, but also not live in it. There's a difference between processing disappointment and wallowing in it. Processing looks like allowing it when it comes up. If you work with me, if you're one of my clients, you know what this feels like. It looks like actually learning how to physically express it in your body, not just through tears, but through actually experiencing it physically. And then it looks like also creating space for gratitude, for acknowledging all the beautiful things in your life, which we all know logically. And yet sometimes our brain only wants to focus on the disappointment. Sometimes our brain wants to only see the negative numbers. Sometimes our brain only wants to see what isn't working, and it takes a lot of conscious effort to redirect it and refocus the other direction. And that's what I want to offer, that in these times, in this moment, when everyone around you is talking about how grateful they are for their spouse and how wonderful he is, and you're sitting there feeling so disappointed and nobody knows because you're not talking to anybody about it, I want to offer that I hear you. And I'm with you. And I've been there too. And that it's okay to feel gratitude and disappointment. It's okay to feel gratitude for the things that are beautiful and for the things that we wish weren't there. You can feel grateful for the lessons that we've learned from hard things. And we can also feel disappointment that we had to go through them. My husband and I have been watching The Chosen recently, which if you guys have not been watching it, you have to watch it. It's a beautiful show all about the followers of Jesus Christ. It's just beautiful. It's the most incredible thing I've ever seen. And we were watching just the latest episodes of season 4. That's the last season that was out. And it's so powerful to me to watch the portrayal of Jesus and to watch him hold space for all of the human emotions. Ladies, like I always say, God is not afraid of your emotions because he created them. He's not afraid of your disappointment. And I want to encourage you to express that to him. In these moments where you are grateful and also disappointed, acknowledge it. The best thing that we can do in order to move forward, the only way to move forward, is to actually become aware of where we are. This is what I always teach you guys, right? Step number 1, awareness. We have to become aware of what it is that we're thinking and feeling. Step number 2, acceptance. It's okay to accept that you feel disappointed. And remember that it is just a feeling. It's not a state of being. It's not who you are. It's not I am disappointed. It's I feel disappointment. And that's very different. Then it's just something we can process and feel and let go and move on from, rather than having it be who we are. Step number 3 is processing that emotion. If you don't know how to do that, come work with me. I will teach you. Step number 4 is choosing a new thought. Do you want to keep the thought that leads to you feeling disappointed? And maybe you do, because maybe you have a thought like, I really would love if my husband weren't addicted to pornography. And maybe you feel a little disappointed that he is. And that's totally fine. Maybe you don't want to change that thought. Maybe you don't want to change it to, I'm really totally fine with him watching porn, because you and I both know that you're not there and you won't believe it. So maybe you don't want to change the thought, but I want you to choose it on purpose. And that makes all the difference in your life, because that's when you are living your life intentionally rather than living at the effect of your life. And if you want to change it, choose a new thought, you can. Maybe you're feeling disappointed because of how you look in your clothes. And maybe you want to change the thought that you become aware of that makes you feel disappointment. You can. You choose a new thought, and then step number 5, you retrain your brain. You break down the neural pathways that have connected the thought to the disappointment, and then you retrain it. You decide on purpose what you want to believe, what you want to think, how you want to feel about your body, and that is your prerogative. You are allowed to do it. And it's going to be a little bit of a process. But I want to give you permission to do it. I want to give you permission to not only feel gratitude, but also feel disappointment, and know that both are completely fine and neither one mean that it's true. And here's what I mean by that. Just because I feel a little disappointed in my business doesn't mean that it is a disappointment. And it doesn't mean that it has to produce something disappointing. I get to decide how I think and feel and react to this information. I get to decide what I do next, and I'm not going anywhere, ladies. In fact, I have so many fun things that are coming up that I'm so excited about, so excited to share with you, because I am not willing to stop. Maybe this is the point where I actually step out of the boat. Maybe this is the point where God shows up in a way I don't expect. And maybe it's not financial. Maybe it's something totally different that I haven't even thought of yet. But what I do know is that when I feel gratitude and disappointment, I get to decide what happens next. And that is what makes me in charge of my life. And that's what I want to offer for you. I hope you guys have a beautiful Thanksgiving. I hope you have a beautiful week. I love you ladies so much, and I'll talk to you next week. So take care. All right, my lady, if you love what you're hearing on the podcast and you're ready to take it and apply it in your life to see a true transformation, then I want to invite you to come join my coaching program. Now is the best time because I have just added an annual membership, so you can join for the lowest price ever. Get all the details on my website, jolenewind.com, and don't forget to sign up for a free consultation call with me today. We'll get on the call, we'll talk about where you are, what you're struggling with, and then we'll see what is the right fit for you and your budget. Again, go to my website, jolenewind.com, sign up for a call, and I'll see you there.